Hey. Good evening, everybody. The second quarter final of the 1987 Cricket World Cup today was played in Delhi today. It was the quarter final between West Indies and Australia. A repeat of the 1975 Cricket World Cup final. Delhi, obviously, the ground where West Indies lost 6 days ago in that match against Pakistan off the final ball, where Elaine Baptiste misfielded and Abdul Qadir got 4, and then he ran 3 runs off the final ball to win the match by 1 wicket for Pakistan. So West Indies had to go back to the ground where they suffered the most agonising defeat probably ever. And the pitch was hard and flat. It was a similar looking pitch to what Pakistan and Sri Lanka batted on at Calcutta. We felt that the spinners would get some turn off it, and Australia won the toss and let the bat. That's how they've performed in this tournament. They bat first, they get a very decent score, and they go on and win the game. Apart from obviously the opening match against England, and they should have won that match against England if it weren't for Alan Lamb's freakish result. And this was the outcome of what was. You'll notice in a moment. This is the scorecard, and this is the final outcome of the match. That is an absolute astonishing result for Australia. It's potentially a seismic result in the history of one-day internationals, and definitely in the history of this tournament. The first ever time the West Indies had ever conceded 300 in a one-day international, and it's also the West Indies' largest ever defeat, and it is probably the end of an era for the West Indies in terms of their domination. They'd reached 3 World Cup finals out of 3. This is their first ever defeat in a World Cup quarter-final. It's Australia's first knockout win since 1975, since they won that epic semi-final against England at the Oval. They were absolutely awesome, Australia. It's one of the best performances I think I've ever seen from a test playing nation. They were just ruthless throughout. 310 for 7 of their 50 overs. Look at that scorecard. They all got starts. Brilliant. 87 for David Boone off 101 deliveries. I think that's his full 50 of the tournament. A failure for Jeff Marsh. Didn't continue from his brilliant 126 not out against the Kenyans. A third 50 of the tournament for Dean Jones, 52 of 55 deliveries, 34 of 35 deliveries for Alan Border, even though he hasn't got a 50 yet, he's starting to score some runs. 31 of just 33 deliveries for Tom Moody, 10 for Simon O'Donnell, 13 not out for Greg Dyer. There was no runs for Tim May. But look at that innings again. Steve Waugh, what a tournament he's had. 65 of 60 deliveries. He lifted them up to 310 for 7. A ruthless batting performance. A wonderful batting performance for Australia to go past 300. The highest total ever in a World Cup knockout match, beating Pakistan to 297 for 7 yesterday against Sri Lanka. The bowling figures, look at Carl Hooper's bowling figures. 0 for 76 of his 10 overs. 0 for 59 for Trevor Benjamin off his 10. 2 wickets for 62 for Patrick Patterson. 13 wickets in the tournament he ends with. 2 for 43 for Courtney Walsh. He was the only one that looked anywhere near comfortable. And 2 for 62 for Roger Harper. In the event, West Indies got nowhere near. Australia were just absolutely ruthless. They bowled a brilliant line and length. Not once did West Indies go up more than 5 runs and over throughout the entire innings. Their innings lasted 48.2 overs before they were bowled out for 235. 9 for leading run scorer in the tournament, Desmond Haynes. He ends the tournament with 374 runs. He could still end up finishing the leading run scorer. 25, Simmons struggled. 51 for Richie Richardson. I think that's his second 50 of the tournament, but it took him 74 balls. 22 for Gus Logie, but look at that low order in the end. They lost their last 5 wickets. They lost their last 7 wickets for just 52 runs. Let's just see, 52 runs. They lost their last 7 wickets for 52 runs, West Indies. 8 for Carl Hooper. Ducks for Roger Harper and Jeffrey Jews on. 7 not out for Winston Benjamin, 2 for Courtney Walsh, and 4 for Patrick Patterson. But it was a man of match performance from Vivian Richards, even though he ended up on the losing side. A wonderful 93 off 84 balls in what potentially could be his last ever World Cup innings. He has been unbelievable in 4 World Cup tournaments. He just missed out on becoming the first batsman to score centuries in 4 successive World Cup tournaments, but he ends his World Cup, potentially his World Cup career, with 450s in a row. His 450 in a row. What has been not his best tournament, but he's still got what it takes. He did say afterwards in the post-match presentation that he's doing something right. He is going to keep playing one-day cricket, and he hopes to be back for a 5th World Cup in Australia in 4 years' time. But he says as soon as he loses his form, he will retire. 235, the bowling figures, well, they were all very good. Steve Waugh, a wonderful round performance, 2 for 46. Many people felt that he should have won man of the match, but I think unless someone gets a 4-wicket haul, you're not going to win man of the match. The only people that are going to win man of the match are the batsmen, and it was the highest score of the match in Vivian Richards. 1 for 61, very expensive for Simon O'Donnell on his return. Brilliant figure for Tim May, 2 for 41. 1 for 52 for Bruce Reid. But look at those figures. 9.3 overs, 3 for 28 for 3 for 28 for Craig McDermott. He's moved on to 16 wickets in the tournament now. He's 3 ahead of Imran Khan, and he's probably the red-hot favourite to finish as the leading wicket taker here in India. 235 all out. Let's have a look at this final outcome. What is potentially a seismic result, especially if Australia go on and win the World Cup for the first time. West Indies versus Australia at Delhi. Australia won the toss and let their bat on a hard pitch. They were awesome in their batting display. They hit 310 for 7 from their 50 overs. The highest total that the West Indies has ever conceded in a one-day international. West Indies got nowhere near. They were all out for 235 in 48.2 overs. Australia winning by 75 runs. The West Indies' largest ever defeat in one-day internationals. And man of the match for his heroic 93 off 84 deliveries was Vivian Richards, his 4th 50 in a row in this World Cup. This is what it means. West Indies go out of the World Cup in the quarterfinals for the first time ever. They will not be playing in the World Cup final. It's Pakistan versus Australia in the first semi-final. It's Pakistan versus Australia in the first semi-final of the Cricket World Cup. Pakistan will be red-hot favourites to win that match. But Australia, if that victory against the West Indies doesn't boost their confidence even more, I don't know what else. That was a complete performance from Australia there. Tomorrow's match, New Zealand versus England for the 3rd quarter-final of this World Cup. England will be red-hot favourites to win that tomorrow. New Zealand looking to cause a bit of an upset tomorrow. But now let's have a look at the star players for this tournament. West Indies are gone. First time that they will not be playing in a World Cup final. Let's have a look at the final averages for these two. There is an average now for Patrick Patterson. He's now got an average of 5 runs in 2 innings. But he actually only had 14 wickets in 6 matches. He's had a wonderful tournament, Patrick Patterson. 14 wickets in 6 matches, an average of 18. So he's actually, at the moment, the 2nd highest wicket taker in the tournament. He's had a fantastic tournament. Vivian Richards ends up with an average of 54 from 6 matches, 328 runs in 6 innings, 4 50s in a row. He's had a very, very good tournament yet again, Vivian Richards, but he didn't get 100 by his high standards. Ends up with 1 wicket in 3 matches, an average of 48, but it's about his batting more than anything. If that is his last World Cup, hopefully he can make it in Australia in 4 years' time, but he will be 39 by the time he plays in Australia. Hopefully he can return as well, but what a tournament he's had again. As for Australia, he's now on 300 runs for the tournament. David Boone, 51 average in 6 innings, a brilliant. I think that was his full 50 of the competition. In fact, I'm almost certain it was his full 50 in 6 innings. He's had a terrific tournament so far, David Boone. Jeff Marsh, his average has now gone down to 74. 373 runs in the tournament for Jeff Marsh. 6 runs behind the leading run scorer in Desmond Haynes. He was out 4 today. Steve Waugh, 188 runs in 6 matches, an average of 47. He got his second 50 of the tournament today. What a tournament he's had. He took 2 more wickets today to move on to 12 wickets in 6 matches, an average of 18. Definitely contender for all round of the tournament. And as you'll see now, Craig McDermott, 16 wickets in 6 matches. 16 wickets in 6 matches, an average of 13. 5 with the bat, but obviously we're not interested in that. 13 average with the bat with the ball this tournament. He's only 5 wickets away from equaling Mike Hendrick's 21 wicket haul, which he managed in 1979 for England. So yeah, an absolute monumental performance from Australia. I don't think I've ever seen a better performance from a test playing nation. That was awesome. They were relentless with a bat. They kept on going at 6 runs and over. They played positive throughout, and then they just squeezed the West Indies, and eventually they bowled them all out in 48.2 overs. In my opinion, Pakistan are still the favourites, but that game's now 50-50, because if Australia don't have the confidence, having beaten a team that's reached 3 World Cup finals in a row, then I don't know what else. For the West Indies, their first ever defeat in a World Cup quarter-final, but you just felt the writing's been on the wall this tournament. They struggled in that opening match against Rebel South Africa 11. West Indies teams have gone by, would have wiped the floor with the Rebel South Africa 11, bowled them out for 130 and won the match by 110 runs, but they struggled for about 35 overs. They squeezed them in the end to win by 37 runs, but the Rebel South Africa 11 scored 206 for 8 from their 50 overs. But the match, in my opinion, obviously, the misfield from Elaine Baptiste against Pakistan, which saw Qadir get that 4, was unbelievable, and West Pakistan winning off the final ball by 1 wicket, and then coming back to Delhi 6 days later, you would have felt was psychologically they'd gone from that match onwards. But Vivian Richards refused that. In my opinion, the match which made me feel that this West Indies side certainly was not up for it here in India. Ireland, 70 for 7 from 21 overs. 4 years ago, they would have bowled Ireland out for 100, would have won the match by 150 odd runs. Ireland put on 51 for the last wicket and put on 120 runs for the final 3 wickets and got 196. And West Indies only won by 62 runs, and they dropped 4 catches in that match in a shocking fielding performance. They dropped 7 catches in this World Cup, the West Indies. Certainly not good enough, and their misfielding's probably cost them about 70 runs in the field. Incredibly disappointing. And also against New Zealand, they had no control against New Zealand. They managed to hold their nerve and win that match by 39 runs, but New Zealand were going at 6 and over throughout, and you felt that they were going to chase runs down about 35, 40 overs. And obviously, Alan Balder said in the post-match presentation, we took heart from that New Zealand performance and we played exactly the way in which we did, but obviously we had players that were in form and were a bit more in control than the New Zealand players. So that's it for West Indies. They're out of the World Cup. It's Pakistan versus Australia in the first semi-final. Tomorrow's match, New Zealand versus England for the 3rd quarter-final here in India. A repeat of the 1979 semi-final, which England won thrillingly by 13 runs at Colombo. If it's anywhere near as good as that semi-final, we're in for something special. England are the favourites. New Zealand haven't really played well this World Cup, whereas England have played well in the majority of their games, apart from a match against India, which was probably a blip. So until then, this is me, Lawrence Howard, reporting on this 1987 World Cup being played here in India on Brian Lower Cricket on PlayStation. Congratulations to Australia, their first ever win over the West Indies in World Cup cricket, and commiseration to West Indies out of the World Cup in the quarterfinals for the first time in their history. This is me, Lawrence Howard, bidding you good night.